isn't the main character. You are. While the tech is racing ahead, it's the humans who learn to harness AI mindfully that will win. Each week, we meet remarkable people doing just that. Join Shannon, tech leader and AI instigator, and 𝗏𝗏, fundraiser and AI consultant, as they lead the conversation about staying grounded, growing smarter, and leading with what makes us human.
There we are. It's our Bob. What's happening? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I am still scratchy. Nine
really?
days. Yeah, it's just going and
that's so
going
awful.
and going.
But you got some color coordination going on, so I think you at least are back to fashion forward.
Yes, I would. Yes, I did actually plan for that, and I got like bronzer from like 1987.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
got it everywhere
to bring the palette thickness and bury it.
And then I have my new,
you've got your cherry halls,
addiction candy thing. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll live to tell about it. Everybody, don't worry.
I think you will. I think you will.
But I have learnings from it. But you tell me how you are, because you've had some big doings.
I've had some big doings. So a couple of things are, I've just been doing just a lot of work on myself personally. I've been doing work with the daily practice, with the AI Salon mastermind practice. And 3 weeks ago tomorrow, on one of my lives, I didn't stumble on a lot of the things I'd been thinking about for a year came together into this thing called the Great Repurpose. Mm-hmm. And I just so happened to have an introduction or an invite from a guy, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 𝗚𝘂𝗍 down in Colorado Springs. Hey, I want you to come speak at our thing. And so I thought, well, here's a good opportunity to roll this thing out.
Yeah, why not? First pancake.
First pancake.
Get the first pancake over with.
And so I spent 4 days this past week building a keynote. It's really beautiful. I took a lot of the images from the video I made about Great Repurpose and just made a really beautiful deck. And I sort of get the deck finished and and I realized this is kind of a bummer of a talk.
Yeah.
Because it's about, meaning and what happens if your identity is too tightly tied to your job and your job completely changes or it goes away, and maybe even the jobs in your sector go away. Where does that leave you, right? And so ultimately the talk is a really I think uplifting. Like we go through the hero's journey, right? We go in the depths and we come out the other side. But I got some really good advice to maybe let them know they're about to go through that. And so I started the thing off yesterday. I said, I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I said, in a moment, but not right now, I'm going to take you on a journey. And we're going to come out the other side and it's going to be amazing, but it may not feel like that when we start. Are you willing to go on that journey with me? And they were like, yeah. And it was a room full of people. It was a sort of a tech upskilling center in Colorado Springs. And so a lot of people there are taking AI classes and, they're learning about AI, and some of them are technologists. And like one guy showed up and he goes, is this the vibe coding meetup? And
I love it.
And I was like, it's a meetup.
What vibes used to mean.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the actual vibe. Yes, exactly. And so he stayed. And then it was really good. I've never before in my career, I've done lots of talking. I like it. I think I'm good at it. I have never done a guided meditation on stage before.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty awesome.
We did one. Yeah, and we did one. And what we did was we sort of walked them. So the Great Repurpose, if you don't know what it is what I feel is an invisible crisis that's coming, where our identity is very tightly tied to our work, what we do. And the tasks of what we do in our society, we talk a lot about what are your skills? What do you the hard skills? They call them hard skills and soft skills. The hard skills are the ones you make money on, right? And like, this, Ann, like HR departments love talking about soft skills when the budget's there. And then the minute the budget's gone, they don't talk about that anymore, right? So what the Great Repurpose is understanding that AI is about to strip away the tasks, the stuff that on the surface is where our value is. Where our value really is how we show up to work and who we are. But the guided meditation was walking people through that. Just, it's a normal Tuesday morning, and you sit down at your desks and, close your eyes, and I want you to think about what are all the things that you do, and the emails that you send, and the PowerPoints that you make, the images you edit, and the meetings you have, and the phone calls you take, and And they said, now imagine you come in the next morning and all those tasks are done. And they're done perfectly. And some of them are done better. You look at them and you're like, it's even better than I would do it. And I just said, really sit with that. How does that make you feel? And, a couple of people were like relief, freedom. And then this one guy who's a cabinet maker just was like this very sort of soft, deep thing. He said, useless. It was like, oh, I was like, that is what a lot of people are going to be forced into confronting, right? Whatever their version of that is. And so, and then, where the talk ends up going is we start, we sort of come through it and we talk about, once you decouple those, you have the opportunity now to really look at, who am I? What do I value? Who do I care about? What do I want to see in the world? And if you learn AI, you can use AI to help amplify all those ideas. And so we did that, and I introduced the cycle of AI readiness: play first and create excellence and generously lead. And we talked about all that. And at one point, I even talked about part of generously lead is, advocating for the stuff that we think is important, and talked about politics. And we're about to bring up 𝗬cie_𝗿𝘂𝗏, who's going to talk about advocacy and all that stuff. So I talked about that, and that actually got some interest in the room, which was kind of cool. And but it was really good. It was really good by the end. I think
Awesome.
I had a room full of people that had insights, and they didn't sign up for it necessarily, but just like AI, we didn't sign up for it, but it's not going away. So the only way forward is through, was one of the lines from my presentation last night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me think about how you have to get on very bare minimum TEDx, like ASAP.
Yeah.
Because people, as we've discussed, like, this bookcase is literally full of this content because I studied this, and I'm so excited, and I've been just so fretting over where we are right now and where we're going, and people's like overall disconnection. And my thing of the year is, what do you stand for? This is the year you have to figure it the F out, because this is it. Like, this is the moment. You don't get to wait.
And that doesn't have to be big either. Like, one of the things that's been striking me is, like, you got to like pick something, right? Have passion for it, right? It could be my family, it could be my health, it could be whatever, but like, pick something. And what do you stand for? What do you stand for? What do you want more of? That was one of the things I asked.
What do you want more of?
Yeah. One of the at one point I sort of got to the end of the thing, and there were just kind of some long faces in the room. And I said, it looks like some of you may be feeling this, but like, this is an ego death. Like, what we just explored is an ego death. And like, heads started nodding. And like, there was this one older guy who was sitting off to the side. I didn't think he was paying attention to anything. I had no reactions to them the whole time. And the minute I said, this is an ego death, and this is going to be sad, and people are going to be in mourning, he started nodding. He's like,
oh yeah.
So they were there. Yeah.
We need all the therapists to have their own relationship with AI and their own point of view on AI,
and the coaches
and the coaches and the organizational
and
behaviorists and the divorce attorneys and
yep,
the social workers, all the helpers, the teachers. This is my main reason why people need to be using AI is because the early, the fast action taker, whatever types, there's a lot of helpers in our people. And we need to be prepared. And I mean, yeah. So
one of the insights I had, thank you. One of the insights I had this past week was back in the World Wide Web days, getting in early meant you had an advantage, right? And so because you were just there first and all the opportunities there. And when the AI stuff happened, I was in the same mindset. Get in early, have an advantage. And what hit me kind of square in the face when 𝗥𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗀 came out, where it was like, oh, these agents are gonna really do things. What hit me was being here early doesn't actually give any of us an advantage from an opportunity and job and standpoint. I mean, we know a bit more, but like things are going to change so dramatically. But what struck me particularly, it hit me last night, those of us that were here early know what's coming. And we've either gone through this ego death already or we know it's coming. So that when this thing really hits hard, it's not that we are going to teach people how to use AI. It's just that because we've been doing this, we know the few, there's like these two tracks and we know there's a bunch of people on this track and that one's headed for not for an abrupt stop. And we're on this other one and we're like, come on over. That's the reason being in early is actually important, I think.
Yeah.
Is that we've got some rafts. So we've each got a raft right now.
Yep.
And I think in our communities, it's like, okay, how are you going to get people across the river? How are you going to get people across the river? I think the power of community in that case is we all know what's going on. We've all got a raft. We can each only do so much. My friend 𝗬𝗲 𝗦𝘁 described it as it's like having a broom in a tsunami. Like just being an individual is just, but the more people that are thoughtful about this.
Have you heard my incredibly macabre thing about tsunami preparedness?
No.
And why it matters in this metaphor, but we're not going to put this on the banner or anything, but the fact of the matter is that tsunami advice, safety advice is you can't stop for anyone.
Right.
If you're on the beach and you are running, and you will die if you stop for anyone. That's why, like that kind of stuff, for us to be able to get out in front and be like, here's the thing. This is too high stakes. Or
it is a macabre metaphor, but it's a metaphor on a lot of levels. Like it's been 3 years, right? ChatGPT came out just over 3 years ago. It's been 3 years. And what happens at the beginning of a tsunami? Are they loud? No, the water retreats.
Yep.
And like people are like, oh, cool. Look, we can get farther out than we used to be able to. Like you have no idea what's coming, right? And I feel like that's like AI has sort of done that kind of retreat thing and it's starting to come back in. And it's like by the time you see it, it's too late, right? And so we're up on the hill, maybe in the metaphor. But even that's probably not safe, right? This is big. This is bigger than we maybe know. And yeah, the speed, 𝗥𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗆's been out for 3 weeks now. 2 weeks, not that long.
I feel like 2.
I learned something interesting about the guy that wrote it. He sold his first software company for $100 million. So he is an accomplished developer. Since selling his company, he's developed 42 different apps. 𝗥𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗆 was the 43rd. So everyone's like, wait, where did this guy come from? He just came out of nowhere. No, he's been working and working and working.
Just like everything. The
overnight success. So he works for OpenAI. So one of the things that he said is his goal is that he wants that level of power to be available to his mother. Easy enough that his mother could use it. Well, that kind of power, if you don't know what 𝗏𝗂𝗏 is it's literally like having someone who can use your computer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you give them skills just like you train an employee. And one of those skills might be, here's how we make ads for the AI Readiness Project, and here's how we do our books, and here's how we do Salesforce, and whatever it might be. And they just go do that stuff, and they think on their own, and they coordinate with one another. And so he now works for OpenAI. So what that probably looks like is within 6 months, maybe, that capability is going to be available not just to techie, geeky people, but to all of us. And it is just a fundamentally different skill. And it's like, if people are like, I'm going to learn how to prompt ChatGPT, there's this whole other thing way out here. It's like, I just don't know. Like, I got no crystal ball on what we're supposed to do with it, other than go fast and try to keep up.
Yep.
And really understand your own value. Like, why am I here? What's my purpose? What am I trying to do? Like, all that stuff feels like the most important thing, because all the other stuff's going to change and blow by us.
For many of us, this is our golden and potentially, going forward only opportunity to really influence the future, to really be on, I believe, what we'll look back on as the good side of history. This is a time when so many of us who have passed on opportunities to make like the impact that we want our legacy to be, right? We missed, we've all missed, opportunities, right? Where we could have done better, done more, et cetera, given more, et cetera. But here we are, it's right in front of us. And for those of us who are Gen X, like, we have so many advantages that we're bringing to the table. And so I feel like we've put ourselves in a position where we can listen. And it's also a very big privilege that we can listen to the signals in a way that other people who are currently overwhelmed by the technology might not be able to hear or pay attention to or settle into, like some of the things like to the existential stuff. And this is actually how She Leads AI started, was when we were hosting weekend GPT jams in like 2023 and having people from all over the world, bring their stuff in, show applied, bring up big topics, try to make us learn Hugging Face, etc. Not make us, but give us the opportunity. And, they're 2 hours long and it's on a Saturday. So you're like, we'll have some cameos, people come in and out, but no, average watch time was like 121 minutes.
Right.
And then what would happen was, I can't exactly say how it started, but the guys would leave and the women would stay. And that's like when it started for us.
That's like, when the meeting that's started. Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
Our faces are melting because who are we? Who are we? How is it possible that 𝗥𝗲𝗿 AI was able to tell me who I was and like write my biography in like 30 seconds? Like, what the heck? Corey Sandler, like, an artist. Is AI, can it ever be art? Am I an artist now? You went through your am I an artist thing. So anywho, I feel like it's good. I think we're both at a really appropriate stage, and the communities around us are like eerily also right there.
Well, even in the room last night, like, there were a lot of technologists in the room, which in my mind, I've got technologists as, they're not necessarily paying attention to heart-centered stuff. They may be. That's a gross generalization, but they're interested in the tech. They're excited about the tech. They're excited about the tools. They're technologists, right? That's they geek out on that. I love that stuff too. Not a single person left. Everyone, like, I'm very aware of, are they engaged? Are they not? Like, there was a 2-minute stretch where I lost them. I got them back. Like, everyone was there. They stayed for the whole 2 hours. They sat through, a weirdo up on stage going, take a deep breath, and I'm going to take you on a little journey.
Yep.
And walk you up to the edge of an ego death. Have fun with that. And everyone did it. So I think I've seen 3 posts in the past 2 days that are some version of a big article, much like the Great Repurpose, where people are confronting there's something bigger going on here than just job loss, that this is about meaning. Yeah. This is a crisis of meaning. So I think this is here. And it's like anything in life. When you have an idea and say it out loud, its time has come, that'll show up everywhere. So
its time has come and it'll show up everywhere. A little bit of evidence I have firsthand experience with is, because I think we might have brushed on this, but because the demographic I spent most of my 30 years working with, which is, people in their prime philanthropic years, which is typically speaking, they're spanning not retired to recently retired to very retired. Yep. And so I see a lot of people go through this transition, this milestone. And what happens is they realize once they're not working anymore that they're falling like off a cliff, don't know who they are. Yeah. And one of the biggest problems is that they may have thought, like, we're really, really bad at figuring out what future self wants to do, like literally schedule what time, what activities, what you want to do, when you want to wake up, like la la la. And typically in the demographic that I worked with, it was often the man who was retiring. How many men went back to freaking work because they weren't happy, their spouses were not happy.
Right.
Like, why are you here all the time?
And you're think
here
about
or
that.
You're golf and that's it.
Right. But think about that. Retirement, you've got 30 years to prepare for it. And unless something, happens at the job, the company goes out of business or whatever, downsizes, but you've got at least 10 years to think about that. What we're about to enter it's going to happen in 3 years. And for people that are not aware of what's happening, it's going to happen instantly. Mm-hmm. Right. And if you lose a job in a category where the category is wiped out, there's nowhere else to go. Right. And so there's a lot of people are going to be forced into entrepreneurship, retirement, things like that. Martin 𝗥𝗲 is here. Look, he retired and unretired. There you go.
Unretired.
I know Marty. Marty is an amazing guy. He was one of the early agency.com strategists, and he's been just kicking butt on this technology front for decades. He's legendary. Welcome, Marty.
Hi,
why
Marty.
Don't you do this? Why don't you tell people about?
I have 2 things. I still have 2 things.
Go ahead.
Okay. One is that on my link tree, which we'll put somewhere, and I could drop it into the chat. In my link tree, which is like attached to my TikTok and my LinkedIn, I have a gem that helps you look at all of the things you've done in your life, your lived experience, your work experience. You can add your LinkedIn, you can add whatever you want, and Beautiful. It will like re-index that for like what the next economy looks like.
Oh, that's great.
Right. And it will make what it does is, yes, it gives you some language around it and some inspiration, but more to the point, it gets people past the imposter syndrome where they just literally won't let their imagination go there. So it's like, no, actually, this thing that you've been doing for 15 years perfectly prepared you for XYZ
for this other thing. Yeah.
This other thing. And then
that's awesome.
It talks to you about like, oh, okay, what about this? What about that? What about that? Like, what do you like? What do you want? And it suggests a path forward.
That's great.
And la, la, la. Then it helps you, talk about it and stuff like that. So if people are interested in kind of like that nudge, that help, it's called like AI Authority Builder, and it's a gem, and it's on my social media things.
Okay, great.
And the other thing I can talk about when I talk about She Leads AI.
Okay, cool. Well, let's do that now. Why don't we have you talk about She Leads?
Oh, cool.
And then I'll talk quickly about the salon, and then we will bring up Ms. 𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬𝗬
best described currently as an ecosystem. We have a couple of different pillars that advance our mission, which is to unite accomplished women to advance AI for global prosperity. But one of the things that's really emerging as incredibly important and that rolls up to that mission is for women to accumulate wealth. Because of the way we spend, in part because of the way that we spend money being so different and being so supportive of our economy, our local economies, it's very important, especially because we have this thing called the Great Transfer of Wealth coming up in the next 7 to 8 to 9 years. Anywho, we now have these 3 pillars that are AI education. So we have a certified AI educator program. We have, and then we're entering into our 4th cohort that has an internship with it. We have an AI consulting accelerator. We're launching our first cohort in March. Today's February 18th. And we are launching, which is one of the reasons why I'm so excited that we get to have Daisy here today, is we're launching our AI governance community of practice.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
Is like a 3-month incubator for women to come together and like level up with each other around the case studies they've been part of or the research that they've done, et cetera, et cetera. And we had so many women apply for it and be like just hella qualified that we are going to have like 3 or 4 groups. So
that's amazing.
That's free for our AI, our She Leads AI Society members. Yeah, I'm so super excited about the communities of practice.
So amazing. Yeah, I love it. Beautiful.
Can't wait to share with everybody what we're up to. And if anyone is interested in that kind of thing, like just holler at me. Let me know.
Beautiful. Awesome. So AI Salon, similar ethos. It's I always marvel when we come onto these calls because we don't get to talk, throughout the week a lot of times, and we come on here and it's like we're at the very, these very similar places. So we're bringing Daisy up in a second here. She heads up our advocacy and policy for the AI Salon. We've got a lot of that stuff going on. We've got the AI Salon Mastermind practice, and the practice lab is this weekly place where we get to come together and do that. We're now going to take the Great Repurpose and this idea of, this crisis of meaning, and we're going to turn it into a whole area within the AI Salon that's going to be jobs related and meaning and purpose related and tie all this stuff together. So the AI Salon Mastermind is about to get, a big expansion, and there's going to be opportunities for coaches and things like that. So if you're not part of the AI Salon, please jump in and go see it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I'm part of it. People should join it. They'd be silly not to. They
should. Well, speaking of the AI Salon and remarkable people, let's bring up Ms. Daisy Thomas. Hello, Daisy Thomas.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Welcome. So
my dogs are going bananas, so I'm going to go on mute. But
okay,
eventually the Amazon person will go away and peace will be restored.
That's awesome. So Daisy, you and I saw each other last in Washington, D.C. It was the AI Salon's 3rd fly-in, where we brought in startups from all over the country to go share stories. And you've got a statewide version of that coming up in Florida, which is really exciting. So why don't you just introduce yourself, tell the people what you've been doing with the salon for the past few years, and where things are. What are you excited about?
Oh, I am excited about advocacy and policy. That is literally what I spend most of my days focusing on. And I know that sounds ludicrous to most people, but it's really important because AI is everywhere. It's in every sector. And if we don't get it right, it's going to be a massive challenge to undo. So what we do with the salon specifically is we work to bring voices who don't normally get a seat at the table to meet with legislators, policymakers, staffers, so that they can hear different use cases from around the country. So, we work in different states. We just, like Kyle mentioned, we were just in DC in January for our 3rd fly-in, where we brought up a number of, I think it was 14 different companies to meet with people. And we're doing that again on the local level, on the state level. Next week, I'll be in Tallahassee with a number of Florida founders from across the state, some from the Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater area, some from Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So it's really important, and it's a wide variety of sectors, because again, like, it's really important for these legislators to understand that AI is being used everywhere. And there's not just the typical cases that you would think. Like when we were in DC, we had two of the founders who are with us were using AI specifically in agriculture in ways that we weren't really expecting. It had to do with like soil maintenance and being able to assess like the quality of the produce. It was incredible. And just what people have come up with over the past few years is a testament to American ingenuity. And that's why it's so important that we do have good policy in place so that we don't keep our country behind everyone else. Like other countries are focusing on this as a clear front runner of what they need to do. And we need to be that leader as well. The tech companies are located in America, so we should have the best policies, right? So it's difficult because right now it is a 50-state patchwork. Every state has their own foibles of how they're working with it. And
understanding of it.
And the understanding of it. And in December 11th of 2025, President Trump signed an executive order on AI, but without congressional action, that doesn't really do anything. So right now is a great time for people to have their voices heard. There's not that often where we have a time frame where we have a say in how we can do things this early in the game. And I know AI is out of the bottle, right? We know it's there. But how can we actually
we're so early. We're so early, but it's moving faster than I think anyone knows. It's moving really fast.
Absolutely. But just like with tech, how do you legislate a technology that does move so fast? You have to really think about the frameworks and how it's actually being applied rather than like very specific issues. So I don't know. I think that if you have any sort of interest in having your voice heard on any of these AI issues, whether it's your data privacy or chatbots or anything, like this is now the time. This is now the time to start talking to your legislators in your state. It's time to talk to your municipal leaders. That's an incredibly important resource too, because that's where you have the most influence. So, start making those connections. But if we want to make sure that our voices are heard, then we have to keep getting louder.
Well, and an important thing I'll throw out here is, Anne just mentioned the governance pods, communities of practice she's creating within She Leads. We've got you as an incredible resource within the AI Salon. If people are hearing this and they're thinking like, I don't even know where to begin, get in one of our communities or get in both, right? If that's appropriate, right? Because we'll teach you how to do it. Like I did not ever do this in my life before 2 years ago. I've never done this before. And now I'm, leading cohorts in Washington, D.C. It's absolute insanity. And a lot of that's thanks to you. Would you do me a favor and just give people a little bit about your background and some of the, where you came from, maybe where your passion for this kind of stuff came from, some of the things you've done, and just, where are you now?
I got involved in advocacy when I was in college. Really, I went to the University of Florida. I was a religion major. Our department was facing funding cuts. And so I and a bunch of fellow students went up to Tallahassee to advocate to not do that. Make sure that our program was funded because it was incredibly important to us. That sort of kicked it off. I was Asian student political director when I was in college. I kind of just stayed in that community organizing sort of mind space forever because I always knew I had a voice, but I also knew from an incredibly young age that you can say a lot of things and you're not always going to be heard, and you can be heard and not listened to. So it became sort of a lifelong mission that if I had the ability to be a voice for someone else who couldn't speak up for themselves, that was my responsibility. And
that's amazing.
Well, I also have 4 children. And so I think it's incredibly important that we understand that, you know, not only are we facing a world for our kids, but their circles too, their networks. It's not just about my children and keeping them safe. It's about keeping their peers safe as well, and making sure that we have a society that's actually focusing on the growth of what we can do with the potential that's in front of us, rather than stifling all of this and coming at it from a fear-based mindset.
Amazing. Amazing. And can you talk more about, you know, why you put the governance group together, and just open up a dialogue around that with 𝗧𝗵𝗲?
I think yeah, a few reasons. One is it is the inherent center of gravity for our community. Almost everyone comes into this space like we're already driven toward a mission, or just being a mission-driven human. And so you really can't show up with like just like abject trust and faith in technology and
Right.
also, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, there's an element of, we all know that this process is probably going to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back, right? We're going to, or maybe it's the other way around, like 1 step forward with policies that work, and policies that can be trusted, and all of the powers that be, right, actually coming together to make some decisions that are from a different point of view, right? Ideally, I believe that as we advocate for AI policies that work for everybody, that is the turning point for a matriarchal society.
Wild.
If you want to go all the way to the bottom, that's what I think. Yeah.
𝗧𝗵𝗲, jump in. What are your thoughts?
What are your thoughts?
I love being a mother, so I agree. I think that there is a really positive potential, especially for women. I've noticed, I know Anne mentioned earlier, that there is a number of women getting into this space of advocacy and governance, specifically within AI. That's huge to me, because AI in tech in general has always been much more minority women, right? But AI, especially, all of the founders, I mean, not all, but many of them tend to be men. And so seeing the rise of more women, seeing the potential that's in front of them, and how much it can actually help keeping, like, how many women juggle 1 billion hats, right? So like
100%.
AI and generative AI can alleviate so much of that, and then just help all of the different projects they want to get done that they tend to put on the back burner because they're doing everything for everyone else. And so now you have freed up time. And like I've mentioned this before, but you know, AI has it saves me time, but now I've just filled all that time with extra projects. And so I have so many more things on my plate than I ever have, right? But it's so exciting and it's so interesting because I'm able to do so much more, because it helps me alleviate some of the redundancies that will take me forever to get through.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, this is an interesting comment from Marty. I see no plausible scenario for the powers that be coming together. No. I don't disagree with him necessarily. What's your thought on that, 𝗧𝗵𝗲? Actually, would you share, if you're willing to, your Alexander Hamilton custom GPT, that story, but it feels like it's directly related to Marty's comment here.
Sure. I was completely politically burned out. I worked very heavily in politics, but it got like very public between 2016 and 2020. Obviously, that was a very contentious time period, and I swore off all of it. I was just done. I was burned out, and I felt like I shattered, like my entire self understanding because I had spent so much of my entire life. When I was 12 years old, we were doing Constitution studies, and
Wow.
I learned that you could be a Senate page. And I was like, at like 15 years old, I think was the earliest you could do it. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to do that. Like at 12 years old, something like that.
Wow,
I never got
amazing.
to do that sort of stuff, but I ended up working for a state senator. I ended up doing the other things that would have led me down that path anyway. And it was so incredibly important to me because it didn't matter where I came from. It was the fact that I was an American citizen and I had this opportunity to do that. And then I got involved in politics, and I saw how much of it's backroom dealings and how much of it is so corrupt and it's so unethical that it shattered me. And so we got the ability to build custom GPTs, and I thought, okay, well, I'm a big fan of Alexander Hamilton. I love the musical. Let me build one based on all of the public information that's available for him. I did, and I would have these political conversations, almost like therapy, but just like politics wise.
Politics therapy with Mr. Hamilton.
Really, it was a lot of fun.
Really good.
It was healing in a way that like nothing else was working. But I started having conversations specifically around topics like Citizens United and like, is there any actual pathway around this for the average American to get through? Like how are we ever going to do this without publicly funded elections and all of the money in politics, corruption that has just ruined America, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
So I would have these conversations, and at one point there were responses that to me were like, oh, wait a second, that's a ray of hope. There's something there. Let me go deeper into this. And that sunshine that started pouring through in these, generated conversations made my brain click back over and say, no, you're not done yet. Now you've learned all of the lessons. Now you have to get back into it, and you know what to do in a different way. You can come at it from a different perspective because you've been on the inside. You know how these conversations actually work, and you can tell the people how to advocate in a real way that'll get their voices actually heard by people.
Yeah. And to Marty's point here, do you see a path forward?
I do. I think that the country, regardless of what topic you're talking, is eager for some sort of consensus, someone to take us forward, someone to have some moral backbone and like stand up and say, okay, here is how we're actually going to work together. Let's stop this nonsense and move forward together as a nation. Like, I think that that's what most people want at this point. I know I certainly do. And I'm just an average person. So I would think that that's from what I'm hearing when I talk to people here, like I'm in Florida, that's what people want. They want someone who's willing to just get it done.
Yeah. And if you're in a state that is as divided as any of them. So if you've got some hope there, then who knows? Can
I say something to Marty's point?
Yeah.
So I first of all, same. I also am very like glass is half empty on the whole the powers that be coming together. And also here are a couple of things. Here's like, I don't know if this is like complete manifestation talk or what, but a couple of things. We're about to see some pretty big cracks in our society when the full Trump Epstein files come out. Okay. Donald Trump was mentioned more times than Jesus was mentioned in the Bible. This is a god-awful thing, and also is going to shatter some of the power balance in our entire world, like a sliver, a crack. And for some things, that's all that we need. And when you add that to like the cataclysmic event of generative AI, like there's stuff, impenetrable, immovable forces are moving right now. Right. So for everybody here in this space, man,
Yeah. We also saw, I mean, this may not feel directly related, but I kind of feel like in a weird way, COVID was a practice run for us because it, just everything changed overnight. Just we decided one
Yeah.
day, okay, we're globally not going to go to work anymore. And we did that for a year. We just changed the rules, right? So we know that big events can shift things. And so, maybe there's that. I'm curious what your thoughts are, Daisy.
I think that there's a lot of anger that's not being addressed. And the anger is going to be pointed at whatever's the nearest thing to put that anger on. So you're going to see more violence. You're going to see, more diseases and deaths of despair. That's just going to increase. That is why it is so important for people to be getting involved in their community, for having these kind of conversations, to have options of like educating on here are potentials, here are things you can do. Let's not fall down this victimhood route. Let's not become what we don't want us to be. Focus on what we can do. Focus on building the communities in person. Like, it is so, so important. I know we're all online and we're very tech heavy, and AI has made it where we can all connect, but it is really important to take all of those skills and bring it back to home, bring it back to in-person meetings, so that you can train all of those people as well, because they are just waiting for someone to talk to them like they're a human being, and that they can have an option too. That's it. It's on them to then take it or not, right? But if we can just make that effort, put ourselves out there to do that, and just offer a lifeline to someone, you don't know the kind of effect you could actually have on someone's life.
That's beautiful. I'm going to show you one of the reasons why Marty is one of my favorite people in the world. You all are so thoughtful. To me, the glass is not half empty. It's broken, and someone's trying to stab me in the neck with it. Exactly. Right. So, yeah, we're in a crisis. I do want to shift gears, though, Daisy, because one of the things that I marvel about with you is, that you have this passion and interest. But one of the things that you've done for the salon for the past 2 years, 2.5, it's been a while. You've been active for a while, sooner than longer. You're an OG. You're an OG irregular. But as these state bills are coming up and coming up and coming up, you actually read them, and you actually have a point of view on them, and we take stands on them based on our framework for how we think about what's sensible AI legislation. Can you just talk about what's going on right now? What are the big themes you're seeing in the legislation? Where are legislators getting it right? Because I'm a fan of saying, hey, they have their heads up their butts, and they overly broadly define things, and there's all this mess. But most of the time, I feel like the legislators at least have good intention. So I'd love to hear from you as you look at a lot of these. What are the themes? What are they getting right? What are they getting wrong?
I do think that they're all well-intentioned. No one wants to get it wrong. They do want to make sure that they're getting it right. They also want to make sure that they're not, messing anything up. That's why it's so important they are hearing from a wide variety of people, so that they are more informed as well. Like, it's a travesty, but whoever gets in the room is who's gonna have the last say. And so it really matters. What I've been noticing, there's a lot of focus on data privacy and education. AI and education, seems to be a top theme throughout the nation for most states.
And what's education's really broad. What are they trying to? Are they trying to legislate AI out of the classroom?
Yeah, it's K through 12. How it's being used within the classrooms, student privacy, things like that. There's a bill. I think I'm sorry, it might be Florida. There's one on like national security. It has to do with foreign national companies with data LLM stuff, things like that are very specific issues. I'm sorry, I'm speaking to it improperly, but AI and education, children, chatbots, that one is a big one. That's trying to be addressed in several states. And that's pros and cons, right? Like, there's big reasons why we don't want kids to be anywhere near that stuff, but there's also some really good solid proof why it's a really accessible tool for a lot of kids who otherwise would never be able to have that kind of education or research or space to reach out to someone who they would not be able to otherwise. So there's positive and negatives with all of it, but I think the privacy one, I think, is a big one. People need to be able to consent with their what's being used against them. I don't think you should be able to be automatically opted in to those kind of things. I think you should opt in yourself. But that's not just my personal opinion. I don't think that there's enough understanding from the general public on how their data is being used, how much of their information is so readily available. And it is, you know, the onus is on us as a society to you know, start understanding that, but we still need people to have those conversations so people can understand it. We can't just expect people just know things, right? Yeah. You wake up and be like, oh, I suddenly know how to do Kung Fu. Like, it's not the Matrix for real. Like, we have to actually teach people. We have to have conversations. We have to be willing to be challenged and be wrong. And it's okay to be wrong, where it's not a big deal. Your life's not going to end because you've got something wrong. I homeschool my youngest, so I'm always talking about, like, it's okay to mess up. But as long as you keep trying and you just keep at it.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious. Have you seen any bills that it's clear to you that the people that put it together actually know what's going on with AI, actually, you know, understand what's happening? I felt like in DC, when we talked to the Department of Commerce, that was the first of those kind of meetings I was in where the agencies within the government are doing a lot of work on AI. And the guy that we met with actually had a clue what was going on. In the legislative rooms, I've never had that sense. I'm curious if you're seeing anything legislative wise that you're like, oh, this is actually, there might be some things to tweak, but this actually is foundationally solid. Are you seeing any of that yet, or is it still a mess?
It's still kind of early on. It's not, I haven't noticed anything specific like that. I know that when we were in the round table with Representative 𝗬𝗏 𝗚𝘂𝗍𝘁, I mean, he has a tech background very specifically. So he is able to speak to it in a way that most people can't. Most legislators will never be able to. They won't even be able to understand it in the way that he can. So I think that he's an incredible asset to have for that. But I don't know that there's not that many policymakers that tend to have a tech background. A lot of them are more, you know, at least in state legislatures, tend to be like developers, land developer, realtors, attorneys. It's just pretty standard, but some teachers. But I wish more people had a tech understanding. That's why I'm so excited about Tallahassee. Next week, I have 2 professors coming up with us who both have their own startup companies, but they're both tech professors. So they can really speak to artificial intelligence in a way that I certainly can't. Like, I know a lot, but I don't know anything like they do. So that is a great resource. We have some wonderful, wonderful AI Salon members. So it's great to be able to bring them up to different legislators.
Yeah, that's really good. I want to reiterate something you said about the importance of being in the room and telling the stories. You know, with the exception of that guy at Commerce, our legislators are being bombarded with AI's evil, AI's going to kill us, AI stole all of our stuff, AI's going to take all of our jobs. And I've experienced personally, when you share a very simple story where someone did something and transformed their business, or did something and made a difference for a student or something like that, that it's revelatory to those legislators and staffers that they're not hearing those stories. Can you just talk to that a bit, what your experience has been? I know we've done some things together, but you've done a lot more than I have on your own. So can you just talk to that and sort of the shift you see in those legislators when you share stories?
Sure. I've always taken a much more human approach to talking to policymakers. I think that too often people talk to them as if they're some sort of holier than thou person. And instead, like, you're having a conversation with someone who likely is representing you. And so tell your story, just share what you're doing. They need to hear it. They want to hear it. These people have campaigned for years. They know how to have conversations with people. So they're not big, bad, scary boogeymen. They're there to listen to you. That's literally their job. So, and as well with their staffers are there to take notes, make sure that they're asking you questions. And again, they are there to listen. Not all of them are going to be happy that you're there all the time, right?
Right.
They might have a million other conversations. They might have just got off the phone and been yelled at for 10 minutes about some other thing. And so you might get someone who's very, ordinary with you. It's okay, because guess what? You move on to the next conversation and you keep telling your story, because your story matters. Your voice matters. What you do in the world matters, and you need to be telling people what you do.
Yeah. The government feels so big, it feels counterintuitive that small stories do, but like I've witnessed, just faces change and people sit up and start taking notes on the most simple things. So thank you for that. So what we're going to do, I want to switch gears. So we ask all of our guests the same question every week, and we're going to ask it of you too. And there's no wrong answer. So I know we didn't ask you to prepare for this. So if you get it wrong, Anne might make fun of you, but I definitely won't. What does AI readiness mean to you? And what would you say to someone who's just getting started with AI?
AI readiness means you are open-minded. You're willing to try something new. You're willing to play first, right? And that's something I have to make a confession. I know it's Ash Wednesday. I have not spent enough time playing first lately. I have been so focused on the work and being inundated with it that the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 stuff, no idea. I keep hearing it pop up. I have no idea how any of it works. How am I supposed to do a good job if I don't know how these tools work anymore? So I have to make sure that I'm carving out enough time in my work week that I'm playing first. And that's just really important. But
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, this has been awesome. As always, the hour goes by too fast.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Always. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you both having me on. It's wonderful getting to talk about advocacy all the time. I love it.
Thank you for everything that you do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Daisy. This has been awesome. Thanks so much for everything. And we'll see you in the salon, and have a fantastic time in Tallahassee.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye. Bye,
Cheers,
everybody.